They live for your reactions. The louder you sigh, the wider they grin. The narcissist in your circle, they've already handed you a script you never asked for, and somehow you're still reciting lines. Every eyebrow raise, every exhausted breath, every attempt at explaining yourself, it's all stage lighting for their one-man play. But here's the twist. What if you ripped those pages up and started directing the scene instead? What if you didn't just refuse to play your part, you dismantled the theater? Niccolo Machiavelli wrote for Renaissance princes, but let's be honest, his real subject was people who think they're royalty. The narcissist is today's prince without a crown, demanding, scheming, obsessed with appearances, desperate for control. Machiavelli understood their psychology long before therapists coined terms. He knew their Achilles heel wasn't brute force, it was predictability. In the next few minutes, you won't learn to shout louder or fight fire with fire. That's what they want, your spark feeding their flames. Instead, you'll learn how to ghost, walk past their theatrics, so by the time they're still yelling at your shadow, you're already sipping coffee in another room. Machiavelli's real genius wasn't in domination. It was in making others exhaust themselves while he stood calmly on the sidelines. Victory doesn't roar, it vanishes quietly, leaving the opponent stumbling in confusion. So if you've ever wondered how to outwit the person who seems untouchable in their arrogance, this is your blueprint. You don't need a sword. You need strategy, timing, and a refusal to supply oxygen to the fire. Ready to out Machiavelli the narcissist? Let's begin. The philosophy in one sentence: detach first, strike second. It's simple, sharp, and ruthlessly effective. A narcissist feeds on emotional engagement like a fire feeds on dry wood. They want sparks. They want explosions. They want to see you flinch, defend, or collapse under pressure. That's their currency, the emotional paychecks you keep writing without realizing it. Machiavelli would tell you, never fight an enemy on the ground they choose. If they thrive in chaos, don't step into the storm. Instead, build your fortress in silence. Detachment is that fortress. It's not passive and it's not weakness. It's tactical patience. Imagine the narcissist throwing jabs, trying to hook your attention. Instead of swinging back, you step aside. No screaming, no pleading, no desperate explanations. Just the soft click of a door they didn't know existed, closing behind them. When you detach, you aren't just holding attention, you're taking control of the stage itself. And here's the key: once you've detached, you can choose your moment to strike, not with anger, that's cheap and messy, but with precision, a single calm boundary, a single well-timed withdrawal of validation. One move, not a dozen arguments, does the work. That's Machiavelli's genius. Never waste energy where silence is sharper. Detach first, strike second. Let them flail in the emptiness where your reactions used to be. That's the first step to flipping the script. Why narcissists are predictable: the secret they don't want you to know. Narcissists aren't mysterious, they're patterned. They may parade as complex masterminds, but their behavior runs on loops as tight as clockwork. Give them attention, validation, or a new toy to break in that order, and you'll see the same sequence unfold every time. Charm, chip away, chuck aside, that's their holy trinity. First, they flood you with flattery, love, bombing, gifts, or charm offensive. Then, slowly, they start taking pieces off your armor. A backhanded compliment here, a subtle dig there. By the time you notice, you're weakened, doubting yourself, and once you're drained of usefulness, they discard you for the next shiny object. Machiavelli would have seen this immediately. He believed human behavior, once observed, became reliable. People act out of self-interest, and narcissists, their self-interest is so blatant, it might as well be written in neon. That's their weakness, predictability disguised as charisma. Once you've seen the cycle twice, you can set your calendar to it. You don't need to rage at their betrayals. You just need to expect them. Timing becomes your ally. Machiavelli advised rulers to anticipate storms, not to stop them, but to stand ready when they hit. Think of it this way: when you know the train is always late, you stop running for it. You wait calmly, sipping your coffee. That's the shift. No surprise, no shock, just awareness. And in that awareness, you reclaim the power they thought they held. Narcissists repeat themselves because they only know one script. Learn it once, and you've already stolen their best trick. Mirror defense without heat. Narcissists thrive on provoking heat. They toss you a poisoned compliment like a fisherman casting bait. You're almost competent today. The untrained response: defend yourself, argue, or throw the insult back with twice the venom. But every flare of emotion is fuel to them, drama calories that keep their fire alive. Machiavelli would advise something colder, sharper, and infinitely more disarming: reflection without flame. Instead of snapping back, you offer a mirror. Your response: a simple, flat-noted. No sarcasm, no defense, no wounded pride. Then silence. You let the words hang in the air, undisturbed, like a fly caught in glass. Here's the trick: silence isn't empty. It's pressure. In that quiet, they're forced to sit with the ugliness of their own performance. Without your reaction, their lines echo back at them, and suddenly they're the only actor on stage, performing for an audience of one, themselves. Most narcissists can't stand that view. Think of it like judo. You don't meet force with force, you redirect it. Their jab becomes a boomerang. Their insult loses sting because you've given it no skin to pierce. You've turned their theater into a mirror hall where every sneer reflects back until even they grow uneasy. The brilliance of this strategy is in its subtlety. You haven't shouted, threatened, or even defended. You've simply refused to play the role, and in doing so, you expose them, not to others, but to themselves. Machiavelli wrote that appearances rule men, but when appearance collapses in solitude, it eats its own master. The mirror defense isn't about winning the line, it's about refusing to dance to their tune. Keep your cool, let silence do the cutting, watch them stumble on their own reflection. The emotion vacuum hears the raw truth. A narcissist doesn't need your love, they need your reactions. Rage, tears, nervous laughter. It's all oxygen to their fire. That's why snapping back feels good for 2 seconds, but leaves you scorched in the long run. They don't care what emotion you serve, only that you serve something. So, what happens if you serve nothing? Enter the emotion vacuum. Picture this: they drop a barb, hoping to hook you. Of course you'd forget, you always do. You feel the heat rise, the itch to clap back, the urge to restore your dignity. But instead, you count: 1 heartbeat, 2, 3, 4. By the 3rd, the sting has dulled. By the 4th, the silence has starved their insult of fuel. The line falls flat, like a match that fizzled before it lit. Congratulations, you've just gone gluten-free supply. No emotional carbs for them to binge on. This isn't passivity, it's strategic starvation. Machiavelli warned rulers never to hand their enemies the weapon of predictability. If you react every time, you're a puppet. If you respond unpredictably, with stillness, with neutrality, you become unreadable. And unreadable is unbreakable, of course. They'll flail harder at first. The narcissist will poke, prod, escalate, desperate to squeeze a spark out of you. But hold the vacuum, let their energy collapse back onto itself. Drama, after all, needs an audience. Take that away, and even the loudest performance shrivels. Remember, silence here isn't weakness. It's dominance disguised as calm. You're not losing the fight. You've removed the battlefield, and the narcissist, their left shadow, boxing in an empty arena. Starve the drama, protect your peace, win by feeding nothing at all. Reward reversal for a narcissist. Praise isn't a bonus, it's currency. Every "you're so brilliant" or "that's impressive" is another coin in their pocket, another validation deposit they believe they're entitled to. And like a spoiled heir, they don't thank you for the inheritance. They expect it. Machiavelli would warn, never give resources freely to someone who sees them as their right. To control the game, you must control the treasury. In this case, the treasury is your praise. Think about the pattern. They fish with lines like, "Don't I look amazing today?" They already know what you'll say because you've trained them. Instant payment. They smirk, pocket the praise, and demand more tomorrow. But when you shrug and reply, "Haven't thought about it," the economy crashes. Their vault slams shut. Their ego finds itself unpaid. That jolt of scarcity, it rattles them. The genius move isn't to cut off praise entirely. That would signal defiance, and defiance invites war. Instead, you flip the script, make your praise scarce, unpredictable, and under your control. One quiet "nice tie" dropped at random creates more power than 10 forced compliments. Because now, you decide the exchange rate. Here's the kicker. When praise is rare, it becomes valuable. The narcissist, who once expected a steady paycheck of validation, now works harder for scraps. Their ego begins orbiting around your approval instead of the other way around. You've reversed the flow. Machiavelli would call this mastery of reward. By rationing currency, you train loyalty without force. By withholding automatic payments, you make obedience the price of admission. And all it takes is discipline. Don't hand out gold like sand. Keep your vault locked, your coins counted, and let them learn the cost of your silence. Ambiguity. Armor narcissists are hunters of certainty. They lay yes or no traps, waiting for you to step in. Do you agree I'm the best? Say yes, and you're feeding the beast. Say no, and you've triggered a tantrum. Either way, you're caught. Enter ambiguity, your armor of fog. Instead of answering directly, you let your words drift like mist. Depends on the weather. Or "that's an interesting angle." Suddenly, the sharp edges of their question dull. They swing at vapor and hit nothing but air. Why does this work? Because narcissists crave clarity. Clarity gives them leverage. They want to file your answer neatly. Obedient or enemy, ally or challenger. But ambiguity denies them the filing cabinet. You become a puzzle they can't solve, a lock without a key, and nothing frustrates a control addict more than uncertainty. Machiavelli knew this well. He advised rulers never to reveal their full intentions. Mystery breeds caution, and caution is as good as obedience. If people can't predict you, they can't trap you. Ambiguity keeps you fluid, harder to pin down than steam. Imagine them hammering questions. "So are you saying I'm wrong?" You smile lightly, sip your coffee, and murmur, "Depends how you look at it." They're left swinging at shadows, unable to land a hit. Every vague answer is a reminder. You're not in their arena. You're untouchable in the fog. Ambiguity isn't weakness, it's strategy. You're not dodging. You're dictating the rhythm. The narcissist wants sharp lines, you give curves. They want stone, you give smoke. And the harder they try to nail you down, the more they exhaust themselves. Wear fog like armor, speak in mist, and let them choke on the emptiness of answers they can't use. Strategic delay. The narcissist's greatest weapon is urgency. Midnight texts, sudden demands, frantic calls. They thrive on forcing you into real-time reaction. Why? Because when you're reacting, you're not thinking. You're on their stage, under their spotlight, dancing to their tempo. But Machiavelli knew the power of time. He wrote that fortune favors those who wait, who let others expose themselves in haste. This is where strategic delay comes in. Picture the scene. They triple, text at midnight. One message baiting sympathy, the second dripping with accusation, the third simmering with fake concern. In the past, you'd have scrambled to answer, defending yourself against ghosts in the dark. But this time, silence. You don't appear until tomorrow afternoon, and when you do, your response is a single word: busy. Not angry, not defensive, simply indifferent. That white space, those hours of unanswered expectation, is power. It turns their storm into an echo chamber. They reread their own words, stewing in the silence, realizing that the drama isn't enough to command your attention. You've starved them, not with absence, but with time. Strategic delay is not laziness, it's choreography. You set the rhythm. You decide when the dance begins. While they spin in frantic circles, you move at your own pace, measured, deliberate, untouchable. This is Machiavellian warfare at its cleanest. Deny them the battlefield of immediacy, force them into the swamp of waiting where their control evaporates. When you finally respond, your words weigh more because they arrive like rare coins, scarce, valuable, deliberate. Remember, urgency is their trap, delay is your dagger. Exit threat done right. Every narcissist believes they own the sequel. No matter how ugly the fight, they assume you'll be back for Act 2. This belief is their safety net, an unspoken contract that you'll always return. The only way to cut it is with a clean, final blade, the exit threat. But here's the Machiavellian twist. Your it must be both calm and credible. Empty ultimatums are as nourishing to them as praise. Rage. Quits don't scare them, they excite them. What unsettles them is quiet, documented certainty. So you prepare. Screenshots of the insults, dates noted. A silent archive of proof, not for their benefit, but for your clarity. You craft one calm line: if X repeats, I'm gone. No lecture, no bargaining, just a line in stone. Then the moment comes, X repeats, and instead of noise, you vanish. Mid-sentence if needed, blocked, deleted, no second trailer, no post. It's seen, the silence is surgical, irreversible. Why does this work? Because narcissists rely on endless loop. Apology, charm, repeat offense. Your calm exit short, circuits the loop. It's not defiance, it's disappearance. And disappearance is a wound they can't bandage because it leaves no stage to perform on. Machiavelli taught that promises mean little without the threat of consequence. Your exit isn't a tantrum, it's a consequence carried out with precision. And unlike threats barked in anger, this one lands because it's already done. The lesson: don't announce storms, become the storm. Don't warn of endings, end. Divide and elevate. At work office, tyrants thrive on monopolizing attention, but give them a rival and you've built a gladiator pit. Pair the loudest ego with another, equally starved for applause. Hand them a shiny but limited prize. One project, one chance, one spotlight. Then step back. While they scramble to charm and claw each other, your calendar suddenly clears. You're free to chase real wins while they burn their energy competing for scraps you tossed like breadcrumbs. Power isn't always about confrontation. Sometimes it's just arranging the stage so others destroy themselves for your amusement. Anchoring with evidence, gaslighters rewrite history until you hand them a timestamp. That never happened, they insist. You smile, pull up a dated email, and place it gently on the table like a loaded pistol. No shouting, no lectures, just fact. One small anchor in reality sinks their entire balloon of fiction. They retreat not because you fought, but because you revealed their theater as cardboard props. In Machiavelli's world, truth is rarely enough to win, but proof, used sparingly, can silence even the most persistent actors. Facts don't scream, they whisper, and that whisper cuts deeper than rage. Graceful retreat, the final move, is the quietest. Not every battle deserves a blade. Sometimes power means vanishing. No fight, no farewell tour, no second season. Just silence. Block, delete, roll the suitcase down the hall. To those who fed on your attention, nothing wounds like absence. They'll tell themselves stories, invent reasons, beg for sequels that never arrive. You're gone, and that emptiness becomes their punishment. In a world where everyone's fighting for visibility, becoming invisible is the sharpest knife. Machiavelli would approve, not every victory requires blood, but every retreat should sting like betrayal. The rule of thirds power leaks when you overspend it. Think in thirds, observe a third, scheme a third, act a third. That rhythm keeps you unpredictable, balanced, untouchable. Overshare, overreact, overinvest. You're not playing the game anymore. You're funding someone else's empire. Stay liquid. The colder you remain, the harder you are to grip. Steam escapes every hand that tries to hold it. That's the paradox of control. The less you give, the more they chase. Own the frame, not the fight. A frame beats a fist. Every encounter is just a negotiation over context. They want to drag you into a screaming match, a tavern brawl of ego. Instead, you reframe it into a spreadsheet. Costs, benefits, risk margins. No ROI, no reply. They'll throw wild punches, and you'll counter with quarterly projections. Who wins? The one who dictates the battlefield. Machiavelli warned, never fight on terrain chosen by your enemy. The frame is the terrain, own it, and you never have to swing. The long game, everyone wants the crowd today. The true strategist wants the kingdom tomorrow. Machiavelli measured legacies in decades, not days. You don't need to wait centuries, but at least think in months, not minutes. While they chase the dopamine rush of applause, you're stacking credibility like gold bars, slow, boring, but bulletproof. In time, their flash fades, their names scatter like confetti, and you're still standing, quiet, steady, inevitable. Real power doesn't rush, it endures. If any of this saved your sanity, subscribe and comment one word: mirror, vacuum, or exit wit. Whichever tactic you'll test, drive first. Your two-letter post might be someone else's lifeline next week. The aim isn't to become the monster. It's to polish the mirror until the monster exhausts itself staring back, bored of its own reflection, and finally wanders off. That's real victory. No shouting, no scars, no wasted nights. Just quiet, clean distance. Stay cool, stay strategic. Keep the blade sheathed until the cut no longer matters.